Tonight, anti-Semitism in America. The president of Israel visits Washington amid an increase in anti-Semitic rhetoric, including from a well-known rapper.
It's genocide and population control that black people are in today that Jewish record labels get paid off of.
Plus, the Georgia race comes down to the wire.
$1 million.
And the humanitarian crisis at the border.
This fiscal year, close to 600,000 known gotaways.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Anti-Semitic rhetoric reverberating around America. Welcome to Faith Nation in our Washington studio. I'm Caitlin Burke. Major backlash tonight against rapper Kanye West, known as Ye, for a series of anti-Semitic comments and interviews. One of the biggest hits, Adidas is ending its business relationship with him. This growing controversy comes as Israel's president is visiting the United States. CBN News correspondent Brody Carter has our top story tonight. Brody?
Well, Caitlin, anti-Semitism in America hit an all-time high in 2021 with more than 2,700 documented cases of violence. The White House condemns such acts while bolstering its relations with Israel. Meanwhile, at least 7 organizations have distanced themselves from Kanye West. I spoke to a rabbi today who says it's simply amazing how one person like Kanye can spread so much hate and bigotry by simply texting.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what?
Adidas answered that question Tuesday by terminating its multi-million-dollar partnership with the rapper known as Ye and his Yeezy brand following outrage over tweets like this. Kanye saying, quote, "When I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people."
Genocide and population control that black people are in today in America that is promoted by the music and the media that black people make that Jewish record labels get paid off of.
The sportswear company responding in part, Adidas does not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech. Ye's recent comments have been unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous. Several other sponsors also dropped him, including French fashion house Balenciaga, Vogue magazine, and talent agency CAA.
He's now dominating the news cycle for about 10 days in the middle of the pre-election time. And all we're really seeing from it until now, the pushback, is toxic waste of Jew hatred and bigotry.
Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center says fallout from the superstar's tirade could be seen on a busy LA highway, with neo-Nazis holding banners reading, "Kanye is right about the Jews," and "honk if you know." Leaflets blaming the Jewish community for COVID were also scattered around the city, including Beverly Hills. The incident is now under investigation by the LAPD.
To the social media companies I've been dealing with for 3 decades, they should just get the hell out of politics and work together to degrade the marketing capability of nefarious bigots and racists like Kanye West.
The Kanye fallout comes amid Israeli President Isaac Herzog's visit to the White House, meeting with State Secretary Antony Blinken.
And your visit is quite simply a powerful symbol of the enduring partnership between Israel and the United States.
Secretary Blinken indicated the Biden administration wants to deepen and expand the Abraham Accords that normalize relations between Israel and 4 Arab Muslim countries. President Herzog is scheduled to meet with Mr. Biden tomorrow. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Thanks, Brody. Here with us now is Eli Kohanim, a former U.S. envoy and CBN News contributor. Eli, Ye, a.k.a. Kanye, is one of the world's most well-known rappers. How dangerous is it for rhetoric like this to come from such a big name?
Caitlin, what we know is that words lead to action, unfortunately. And when you hear hate speech like Kanye's, many anti-Semites and Jew haters are inspired by his words to then take action. And your audience just heard some of the awful things that have come out of Kanye's mouth, the most vile, historic conspiracy theories about Jewish control of money, Jewish power, and so we're already seeing a white supremacist group, in fact, show their support for Kanye West. I have to point out to the audience that Kanye has also made statements about how Jews are not the actual Jews. This is inspired by people like Louis Farrakhan that he has a relationship with, who preaches to his audience that that Jews are not the Jews, and that the Black Israelites or his followers, whatever, may be the real Jews. And this is something that has also caused the death of Jewish people over the centuries, this accusation of others being the real Jews. So Kanye is a very dangerous person right now. I'm very happy to see the strong reaction to him, but I don't think people need to rest at this and say, you know, Adidas cut him off, he's no longer a billionaire, and so everything is fine now. We need to understand that there are other people like Bella Hadid, like Gigi Hadid, people who call for genocide against Israel with their calls, things they say like from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Those kinds of statements are actually a call for genocide. They don't leave room for Jews in Israel. And so the fight against Jew hatred is not over with Kanye. We really need to stay vigilant. I would love to see all of the celebrities who've come out and denounced Kanye to also denounce Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, and Roger Waters.
You mentioned all of these companies that have denounced Kanye, Gap, his talent agency, Adidas. You know, for Adidas, they're taking a hit of some $250 million. What kind of message does that send?
It sends an excellent message, which is that Jew hatred simply will not be tolerated, and there's no dollar amount that can buy this hatred towards Jews, that will buy acceptance towards hate. So I'm very happy to see these companies that have cut off Kanye's contracts with them. And in fact, today, just before we spoke, Forbes magazine has a breaking story that Kanye's net worth is no longer in the billions. He's no longer on the Forbes billionaire list. So the repercussion is important to him, so that, again, the message goes loud and clear to society, to young people who may be watching this course of events, to understand that in America, there is no tolerance for hatred towards all minorities. For too long, Jews have been an exception, and now hatred towards Jews is not acceptable either.
All right, Ellie Kohanem, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
2 weeks to go until the midterm elections, and one state being closely watched is Georgia. Voters there choosing a senator and a governor. The gubernatorial race involves a rematch between incumbent Republican Governor Brian Kemp and Democrat Stacey Abrams. As Matt Galka reports from the campaign trail, while many on the left felt the race would turn Georgia from purple to blue, the Abrams campaign has been struggling.
Democrat Stacey Abrams almost pulled off the win here in Georgia just 4 years ago, and since then, the Peach State has sent 2 Democratic senators to Capitol Hill. But this time around, Brian Kemp is polling ahead pretty consistently, and he's pretty popular around here in Georgia. Still, anything can happen with just 2 weeks to go.
To the next governor of Georgia, Stacey Abrams.
In the search for support, Stacey Abrams traveled to deep red Cherokee County, about an hour north of Atlanta. Polling suggests she needs help, with a real clear politics average showing Brian Kemp with a 7-point lead. The incumbent has hit Democrats hard on record inflation and high prices throughout the election cycle.
They're mad about gas taxes. They're mad about how much they are spending now at the grocery store, even if they can find supplies. They're worried about the supply chain bottleneck as small business owners, and they're worried about the federal government spending more money when we have 40-year high inflation right now.
While Georgia Democrats saw an opportunity to fire up their base after the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, recent comments by Abrams linking abortion to inflation threw some water on that hope.
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
Now you have the Democratic Party that's using the economy which in large part is driven by their own policies as justification for abortion on demand.
Still, Abrams hasn't shied away from making the issue a central theme.
If you are a woman, he has attacked the very nature of our ability to be self-governing. He has taken away a woman's right to choose in the state of Georgia, and he has said he's not done.
Can I just ask you one question?
Thank you.
Although she didn't take questions, it's clear the message is still resonating with her supporters.
I think women should have a choice over what we do with our bodies. I believe in abortion. If that's what a woman and her doctor wants.
Are you worried that she might lose again, or are you?
No, not really. No. She got it. She got it. She has it. She got it in the bag.
There's still a feeling the race could tighten given Georgia's record early voting numbers for a midterm election. Around 1 million people have already taken advantage, and at this point in 2018, that number was around half that total. In the final stretch, Democrats hope to cut into Kemp's lead by bringing in some pretty big names. Oprah has already campaigned for Stacey Abrams, and Barack Obama will be here this Friday. In Atlanta, Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Joining us now is CBN News chief political analyst David Brody. David, Georgia voters are already showing up en masse to the polls. Around 1 million have cast their ballots, most of them through in-person early voting and the rest through mail-in ballots. Does that give you any indication of which way these races could go?
Caitlin, sadly, it doesn't right now. Georgia doesn't have party registration, so it's difficult to really determine. There is a sense that more Democrats are voting early than Republicans. But once again, what does that mean exactly? Because a lot of this now, after Georgia's new election law, is in person rather than just mail-in ballots. So it's all over the place. No one really has any idea. But what's interesting here to note regarding Stacey Abrams is that she's talked for a long time about voter suppression in Georgia. There's voter suppression everywhere. You've got record turnout in Georgia. And she's now, even today, doubling down on the fact that there's still voter suppression going on all over the place. That is a hard sell in a place where they're seeing record amounts of early voter turnout.
Tonight, all eyes are on Pennsylvania. Republican Senate candidate Dr. Oz facing Democratic candidate John Fetterman in their one and only debate. Now, Fetterman is recovering from a stroke and will use closed captioning, which his campaign acknowledges will lead to awkward pauses, missing words, and time delays. How critical is this debate?
Well, it's essential, especially really for Fetterman. I mean, a lot of folks will say it's essential for Oz. Honestly, it's essential for both of them. But let's look inside these numbers for a second. Fetterman has been slipping badly. If you look specifically at the enthusiasm numbers, I mean, he's gone from like 63% of voters that were enthusiastic or very enthusiastic to vote for him to 47%. It's been down. Oz isn't great either. It's gone from 36 to 30%, but it hasn't been as much of a drop. Fetterman has had a significant drop in enthusiasm. And tonight with the closed captioning, it's going to look awkward. It's going to look weird. And, you know, it's going to be a challenge for Fetterman's campaign. And we already see the polls tightening up. Fetterman was leading a few weeks ago by about 5 points or so. That now is pretty much a toss-up race. Some will say he's up by 1 or 2. The bottom line is it's neck and neck. So Fetterman's campaign needs a huge, big performance tonight. And I'm not quite sure, at least stylistically, if they're going to get that from Fetterman for sure.
David, real quickly, progressive Democrats withdrew a letter they sent to President Biden regarding Ukraine, calling on the president to shift U.S. strategy and begin negotiating with Russia. They did withdraw the letter, but what does that say about Ukraine as a political issue? About 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Democrats need to stick together on Ukraine because Republicans are split on the issue of Ukrainian aid. And so this was kind of a stubbed toe situation for Democrats. They're not looking together. They thought they could get this on Republicans. Instead, it's on Democrats right now.
All right, David Brody, thanks for coming on.
You bet.
Another booster for President Biden, as fears over a triple-demic have health officials calling for Americans to follow suit. That story next on Faith Nation. A major victory for workers fired for being unvaccinated. New York Supreme Court reinstating all state employees who were terminated for not getting the COVID-19 shot and ordering back pay. In the ruling, the state Supreme Court says being vaccinated does not stop the spread of COVID. Earlier this year, New York City alone fired some 1,400 workers for being unvaccinated, many of those police officers and firefighters. President Biden, meanwhile, is once again rolling up his sleeve to get the latest COVID booster shot. And heading into the holiday season, he's urging the public to do the same. Health experts are also encouraging people to get the flu vaccine, concerned we could be heading towards a triple-demic, with the perfect storm of 3 different respiratory conditions hitting all at once. CBN News White House correspondent Abigail Robertson has more.
This latest booster is reformulated to specifically target the Omicron variants, which have been dominant the last few months. One reason the White House is encouraging all Americans to get it is to concern older vaccines may no longer be as effective.
If you're fully vaccinated, get one more COVID shot once a year. That's it.
The major priority behind this White House push is that both shots can help keep people out of the hospital.
Virtually every COVID death in America is preventable. Virtually everyone. Almost everyone who will die from COVID this year will not be up to date on their shots, or they will not have taken Paxlovid when they got sick. We've made the vaccines free and available. We've made the tests free and available. We've made Paxlovid free and available. Please use them.
The other concern is an increase in cases of almost a perfect storm of viruses: COVID-19, the flu, and RSV.
If all 3 of them rise at the same time, again, if people are not vaccinated, then we can start seeing a lot more hospitalizations. Hospital capacity is very important. We need hospitals for all sorts of things, not just those viruses. So right now, our focus is get people vaccinated, get people treated, and keep people out of the hospital.
There is currently no RSV vaccine, a virus that primarily affects children.
Right now, in our system, we have more than 40 kids hospitalized with RSV, and more than 10 kids in our ICU receiving critical care treatment for their RSV infection.
About 75% of pediatric hospital beds nationwide are full. Doctors at Texas Children's Hospital predict a difficult winter season.
We are seeing more kids with RSV. We're getting ready as a system to meet the needs of our community. I can't predict for you exactly what the next 4-6 weeks are going to look like, but we're ready. We're getting ready for those needs.
CBN News medical reporter Lori Johnson says the good news is once children get RSV, they are immune.
Doctors estimate that almost every single child will get RSV by the age of 2. Most of the time it's very mild, but when you were talking about that many numbers, usually we see about 58,000 children hospitalized for RSV per year, and 250 sadly die from it.
Johnson recommends how parents can help prevent their kids from getting a serious case.
The number one way is to make sure they get enough sleep, and believe it or not, pediatricians say most children are not getting enough sleep. Also, of course, a healthy diet and washing hands when possible.
The CDC's independent vaccine advisors recently voted unanimously to add COVID-19 vaccines to childhood, adolescent, and adult immunization schedules. It will be up to state government officials to decide if those shots will be mandated for school children. Caitlin?
Thanks, Abigail. Humanitarian crisis at the southern border. When Faith Nation returns, a look at why the White House is struggling to find a solution. Ashton Carter, President Obama's former Secretary of Defense, died unexpectedly Monday at the age of 68. The former cabinet member is known for opening all military combat jobs to women and ending the nation's ban on transgender troops. The Philadelphia native died of sudden cardiac event. Now to the growing chaos at the southern border. The latest data showing the number of people detained for crossing illegally has hit a one-year record high. As Tara Mergener reports from South Texas, 2.3 million people have been taken into custody in the last 12 months.
The vice president tells us that the border is secure. Is the border secure?
Well, the border is not secure. We know that for a fact.
Nearly 2.4 million illegal crossings, a 37% spike from the same time a year ago, not including hundreds of thousands more who got away.
Last year alone, just last fiscal year, just to give you some numbers, nearly 400,000 known gotaways. This fiscal year, close to 600,000 known gotaways. You put those two numbers together, that's close to 1 million people that have made it into the interior undetected.
In recent history, most who breach the southern border have come from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. But border officials say migrants arriving from Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua have now surpassed them, with a 245% increase since September of 2021.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
As pressure on the Biden administration mounts, the White House is still struggling for a solution.
We are hard at work in driving toward a regional solution to manage this new challenge.
Here in Texas, there are an estimated 8,000 illegal crossings per day and climbing. Most of the migrants are here to stay. With the immigration system increasingly overwhelmed, most people are released without court dates and sent via buses and planes further into the country. Not everyone is as lucky. More than 850 died trying to get here, the highest number yet. Critics charge President Biden's so-called open border policy is also allowing dangerous drugs like fentanyl to pour into the country.
It's very, very lethal in small doses. And these cartels have realized that they can make lots and lots of money producing it. It's been found in black market Adderall, it's been found in ecstasy pills, it's been found in cocaine.
Meanwhile, the FBI and others have warned the staggering numbers pose a significant security issue that can be exploited by terrorists too. The Border Patrol reports encountering 98 foreign nationals on the International Terrorist Watch List in the last 12 months. In South Texas, Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Still ahead, a cane-carrying grandma becomes a real-life hero. The details after this. Finally tonight, great-grandmother to the rescue. A 76-year-old woman is being credited with stopping a robbery and saving another woman. Meet Miss Faye. When she saw a man attacking her elderly neighbor, she immediately jumped into action, wielding nothing but a cane and calling on her German Shepherd for backup. When the would-be purse thief noticed her, he jumped in his car and quickly drove away. Her neighbor was unharmed in the attempted purse snatching. While many are now calling Miss Faye a hero, she says she was just being neighborly. Now, the police do say that they are still investigating this and they don't encourage interfering with a crime. That's going to do it for Faith Nation. We'll see you tomorrow.